Hello, adventurers. Here is how to do the role playing adventure for the tragedy of Macbeth. So, before you get to your questions for scenes 4 through 7 this week, basically you want to go through and do the role playing adventure. Basically, you create a character that gets to go through the world of Macbeth, and they make choices and have chance sort of go through and figure out how they can navigate through the world. We're doing this basically to kind of talk about and look deeper at some of the characters and some of the scenes that we've previously read. So, for this first adventure, we're going to go ahead and have our imaginary characters interact with the witches from scene 1 and 3 earlier in Act 1. So, the first thing to do is create your character, and this is the character sheet, page 1. Make sure you come up with your character name. If you don't want to do that, you can just keep your regular name. Just make sure any made-up name is school appropriate. And then you want to choose your character's class. You have some choices down here, so it talks about what your character does, what they're good at, and then you just pick one of those and put it in the highlighted space. Note that anywhere where you see a highlighted area on the next pages is where you need to do something or record something. Underneath, at the very bottom, at your character page, you're going to have your inventory, the things that your character is allowed to have. Okay, so basically you have some tools, you have some charms, temporary meaning they can be used once, and then you will also be able to see some skills that you'll be able to always use. Notice that throughout your adventure, anytime you happen to use something, let's say you use the old jar of pickles, you would need to highlight it, control cut, so control I think X actually instead of C, and then control V, paste it into the used space. Okay, so you know that you can't use your old jar of pickles again. Alrighty, so once you came up with your character name and your class, you can go ahead and get into the scenario. You would read this part talking about watching the interaction between the witches and Macbeth that is about to happen. Then you go to 4 things that you need to conceal your group of people, including yourself, from the witches and Macbeth and Banquo's view. So, in order to figure out what you're doing, you need to click on the dice roller, and that should allow you to roll. And for example, here I got a 2. So in that case, I come back to my document and I would look at number 2. I use the charm to turn into woodland creatures and get to see the gathering of Macbeth and the witches that way. So over here, I'd put a number 2, and then according to the directions, I would go up to page 1, and I would get rid of my change into a woodland animal charm by going here, Control X, Control V once I put it in the used area. Okay. After that, okay, I go ahead and I look and see what happens, because since I rolled a 2, I need to kind of know what's happening here. So I would read the scenario and answer the question for outcome 2. Once I do that, make sure again that you have some support from the text to help you. The question is, how might the witches try to trap you in your woodland creature disguise, and why do you think that? So go ahead and put your answer here based on what you know in the story of Macbeth. Once you complete that, you would move on. So you would read the scenario that happens here, and whatever I choose as a person, I'm allowed to use whatever's available from my inventory still for that list. So let's say if I chose to be a wizard, right, I could choose one of these charms. The only thing is, because I rolled a 2 earlier, I can't use the woodland animal charm. I would have to choose one of the other ones. So whatever I choose, I would just put it in here. And then, of course, I would go back up to my inventory, and then I would take that charm and I would put it here too. So far in my example, I've used 2 charms. And then I would roll another dice to see how effective that charm or that tool or that skill is for me in getting away from the witches. So I would go ahead and click on this. And, oh, looks like I rolled a 5. And that basically tells me how effective this is. So in this case, I got away and the witches do not pursue me. And I get something that I can take from the witches. I can take chestnuts or a candle. So if I chose chestnuts, then I would go ahead and copy chestnuts, go up to my inventory and paste it under tools. Okay, so there's various outcomes. Basically, again, just kind of follow the directions. Anytime you see yellow, there's something you need to do. And the other key is to make sure that your inventory is updated each time you need to use something. Okay. After that, we'll move into the questions for Act 1, Scene 4, all the way through Act 1, Scene 7. Please see me if you have any questions, and good luck.